Hello, everybody. I am Ebony,
Hi, I'm Ivory.
and this is our very first episode of Ebony and Ivory. Hey, girl.
Hey girl, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so excited. I feel like we should tell the people about Ebony and Ivory and how it came about.
Yeah, go. Let's start.
Look, I was like, I'm gonna let you go.
Well, my girl here, we've known each other for a couple years and we were both working in the infidelity realm online. And we
hmm
started working together and we found that we play off each other very well and
Yes.
that we represent all women, cross culturally, and that we make infidelity not a secular, individual, cultural thing. We just show that it's a female male thing and how
hmm
we can, have a little fun while healing people.
Yeah, yeah. And that's really what it's all about because, okay, so my name is Brianna and Ivory is Didi. So if I kind of interchange Ebony, Ivory, Didi, Brianna, you know, okay, you get the gist. But it's so funny because, like, our personalities, or like you said, they play well off of each other. And so I'm more of the, oh, okay, I understand. I hear you. I see you.
That ain't me, girl. No, I'm like, let's kick it in the ass. Let's make this happen. Woo!
And I'm like, oh my gosh, she said ass?
Oh yeah, my bulletin board right here says you only live once. You might as well be a badass, right? You cannot control what comes at you in life, but you can control how you respond to it.
Yes. So, with that being said, you guys, you're going to get a really good, healthy balance. So, that's the beautiful thing about this. And yeah, Didi and I both have stories of betrayal. And we just thought, like, man, we give some really good content. We feed well off of each other. Why not just create? Like we've been rocking with each other for 2 years strong now. I think might have
Yeah,
been. Has it been 2 years?
it's been 2 years.
Okay, yeah, I'm starting to feel like it's been longer because I was thinking about how I met you or when I met you, and it was during my cousin's graduation. So I was trying to add that time up. So yeah, so we've been rocking
Might be
together.
rolling on three. Yeah, might be rolling on three.
Might be rolling on three for real. And so we just thought, man, okay, let's just keep this ball rolling. So yes, we are super excited to bring you out Ebony and Ivory, and it's just gonna be a whole bunch of fun mixed with valuable information that you guys are going to enjoy.
Yeah, 100%. So, Ebony, do you have something that you want to talk about today? I know that you just went through something and you were
Yes.
triggered by it.
And I was going to say, let's get into it, man. Like our topic today, so we're talking about grief and we're talking about our personal grief, right? Didi, I posted a blog because I'm blogging now.
Nice.
Writing is very therapeutic for me, and so I've taken to blogging just because, like, yeah, it really helps. But my second blog that I posted was grieving in a winning season. And so I was talking about, like, all of the wins in my life. Like, I got a promotion at my job, making more money that I had been praying to God for. And more people were reaching out to me about Life After Infidelity podcast and how it was going up on the charts. And the numbers had more than doubled from 23 to 24 since I've launched it. I was nominated for one of the best podcasts in Dallas in the Black space. And man, I can't even really. Oh, got my student loans forgiven. I don't. Yeah, that's
Girl.
a whole win. And it's like, man, I'm just out here winning, but I still felt really heavy. And I just was like grieving something and I couldn't figure it out. And then I thought it was so beautiful that when you and I like just kind of caught up, you were telling me that you were going through grief as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think grief is not linear. It's secular,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
Yep.
and it can just show up.
Mm-hmm.
You think you're just rocking it, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
it is like, woo, I'm celebrating. And then you have that little piece of you that's like, has that missing, like missing of the person that left, missing of that you went through something, tragic. And so it's just not secular. I mean, it's just not linear, it's secular. And you just never know when it's going to show up. And you got to just breathe through it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I love that you say that too. Like it's not cyclical. Like I mean, it's not linear. And we can't control when it shows up. And I because I was going through so much grief, I went back to therapy. And one of my therapists reminded me, she was like, the beauty, because I felt guilty because I was like, how am I out here doing this work and helping people to get through what they're going through, and I'm sitting up here, dealing with my own stuff. And she was like, that's the beauty of life. Like, even when we're going through our stuff, we can still be in a space of helping other people. Like, because I think I have this belief that, oh, you have to be perfect to go out and do things. And I think too, that's what added a lot of pressure to my experience of grief too.
Right, that you're supposed to be all healed, never shows up again, never have a thought
Mhm.
about it, never wish
Mhm.
for the life that you thought you were gonna have. Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
happens to all of us, right? You
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
I have a 17-year-old in my situation, and in
Mhm.
the holidays, it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard that the grief that shows up that, yeah, I had this whole life and I thought it was gonna be forever, and now it's just her and I, and we're in the same house, and we're doing the same holidays with the same people, and there's a missing. And I think
Yeah.
accepting the fact, you know what? Even when infidelity happens, that person's not 100% bad. There was some good stuff, else we would have never been with them, right? So I think what
Yeah.
happens with that grief is like you're missing the good stuff.
Mhm.
You have made a decision and packed and walked, right? And taken care of yourself with a boundary, but you
Mhm.
still can honor the stuff that was good. And I think
Yeah.
personally, I think that's where the grief comes from.
Mhm.
You remember good stuff and you're grieving the fact that it's not there anymore.
Yeah. Because, I follow Esther Perel. She's really, really good. And she talks about that too, of like, we can't make the person who wronged us out to be this horrible person in all areas of life. Because she was saying, like, she had a client, and she was saying, well, I don't trust him. And she was like, well, you can't really say that because he still shows up to the functions that you guys have agreed upon. He still covers the doctor's bills for your mother who's in hot, like, she was like, so you trust him in those areas to do what he needs to do. You just don't trust that whatever betrayal he did, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it was, for me, in my case, infidelity, I don't trust that he's done. I don't trust that he's not going to do it again. And I love that you say that, because I think that we have to honor that. Like, it's okay for us to grieve all of the great things that we experienced with the person who wronged us.
Yeah, yeah. Big, huge shout out to Esther Pearl. She and I have a mutual friend. She and I have never met,
Ooh.
but I have a really good friend who they actually dated in college, and they've been friends ever since. So she's such a rock star, such a superstar, straightforward shooting. I love her so much. And for me, I think where she and I totally agree is it's like a pie chart, right? Like
Uh-huh.
life is like a pie chart. People are like pie charts. They can't be 100% bad or
Hmm.
be unforgiven 100% of the time. There has to be some redeeming qualities. Like
Yeah.
we are way out on the tail end of the curve if people are 100% bad, right?
Yeah.
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 So, look at it like a pie chart because I agree with the example she gave, right? Like
Hmm.
just because something happened and infidelity happened, there's a good person doing something over there. Else you'd have to admit your picker is just completely wrong because
Yeah.
like you pick them, there has to be
Right.
redeeming qualities. So unless you think you're broken completely and your picker is just out of sorts, there's some good stuff over there.
Right. Yeah.
And I know Esther said, uh, monogamy and infidelity, like it is a complicated situation as we land in the 21st century.
Yeah.
And you got to find somebody who you're on the same page as. Not that
Hmm.
there's a lot of people who have a lot of different relationships, and she talks about that. You have to
Hmm.
find somebody that you're in agreement with,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's when you are with somebody that your agreements don't align, right? Your strategies for life, then that's when the infidelity happens, and then that's when heartbreak happens and grief.
Yeah, because she talks about that too, like, and there's so many things when it comes to infidelity in particular, and she talks about that. Well, What are we considering infidelity now? Are we considering it sexting? Are we considering sending somebody a message in the DMs? Like, is it just the physical? Is it the emotional? And there's so many different spaces when we talk about that. And like you said, that's why we have to have these conversations at the beginning. Like, I was talking to a guy last year, and I think I was saying something about, don't say certain things to me or something like that. And he was like, well, shouldn't that be a given? And I was like, you would think that, you know, like respect would be a given, or don't tell me shut up or anything like you think that those things would be a given, but you really have to have those conversations up front and be like, nah, this is not what I'm accepting.
Exactly. No, yeah. You cannot, I always say assumptions make asses out of you and me, right? No, no
Mhm.
assumptions. Like just be in those conversations, right? Even
Mhm.
if they're difficult.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about human beings. I don't want to talk. And I know it's the exposure factor,
Yeah.
or it's like you put it out there and you don't really believe it, and then you're going to be held to account to it. I'm not sure, but when you start talking to people and start dating them, you've got to ask, right? It's really important. Like, why did your last relationship end? What do you
Mhm.
believe about this? What do you believe about that? Do you have if it's important to you, do you have a lot of female friends? I have a lot of male friends. Like, how,
Right.
right? Like, you got to get down in the weeds.
Yeah. Do you think like asking those questions, when should you ask those questions in the beginning stages? Like how soon?
Yeah, well, you know me because I'd be like DMing with somebody on a dating app, and I'm like, I ask it just straight up, like, "Do you have kids? Why'd you get divorced?" And people are like, but then you scare them off real fast, and I go, then they're not for me,
I
right?
like that.
I think,
I
I
like
think
that.
it's everybody's tolerance, right? Like, I like to
Mhm.
just get it out there, like, hey, I'm really direct, I'm really straightforward, I don't have time for BS. And the people that weed out, they weed out. And then other people are like, I'll have guys be like, I love how honest you are. Thanks for
Yeah.
telling me that you're raising your child and you don't have a lot of time, so that I don't expect you to say yes whenever I ask. And in
Yeah.
fact, I'd love it if you reach out to me, because now they have an understanding of where I'm at in my life. So the ones that stick around and are my friends, it's like you say, you can count your really close friends on one hand. There's a
Mhm.
lot of people in the world. So, if you end up with fewer than more, it's okay. But at least they're authentic relationships.
No, so I'm glad you said that. And okay, we're gonna tie all this back into grief, y'all. I promise. But so I have another blog that I recently wrote, and how it transpired was this guy was like, "Yeah, you have significant walls up," and he was like, "And I know that has to do with what happened with you and your ex husband." And so the blog is basically about taking accountability and saying that you people don't get to use my ex-husband's betrayal as an excuse for why I am responding away to them. So
Right.
if my walls are up and I don't feel safe with you, that has nothing to do with my ex-husband. That has
Right.
everything to do with you and how you're responding and how you're showing up and what we're trying to create that has not made me feel safe. And I feel like it's so easy for people to pinpoint it on something else or someone else instead of looking at yourself to say, hey, she doesn't feel safe with me. Why does she have her walls up with me? And that's what I've learned that too, of like from that experience. I was like I was toying with the thought of like, well, maybe I do need to open up. Maybe I do need to. And one of my friends was like you. She was like, if you don't feel safe with him, that's on him. That's not on you. And it's about me communicating, hey, this is why I don't feel safe, and him allowing him to own up to it and be like, okay, well, I'm going to try to do better than that. But at first, I was taking all of that and internalizing it. And in fact, we have to be straight up with people and say, hey, this is what allows me to feel safe. This is what allows me to let my walls down, and give them the opportunity to say, hey, I am going to live up to that. Or if I'm not, then cool. I've already identified that you're not the one, and I can keep it pushing.
That's right. So in my other life, in my consulting business, I have a communication tool. It's called CPL, and
Mm-hmm.
it stands for compassion, process, and learning. So, being compassionate in your communication for yourself and others. then committing to a process and accepting that we're all always learning. And the reason I love the tool is because it can apply in any situation. And
Yeah.
how I see it applying, and what I tell people is, in these situations where you need to share an emotion based on somebody else's behavior, we always, as humans, get defensive if we say, you did this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you use an I statement, I feel vulnerable, or I feel unsafe, or I feel sad, or I feel rejected. When one, not, instead of using the word you use like the word one, or when anybody does X. Like, you could even tell a story. The other day my girlfriend did this, and it was very similar to what you just did, and I felt like this, right? So you take the responsibility of your feelings on yourself. I feel this way. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's less defensiveness. I think it's proven over time that people open up more.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I remember you when you had shared that with me the very first time, and I was like, "Oh man, this is genius." Because like you said, it takes people's defensiveness down and allows them to like open up more and be more expressive. But I think that that's a really good technique to use. Yeah.
Yeah, and it
Um
works across the board, whether you're talking to a friend or a parent. It works amazing with children, coworkers, your boss, right? Like,
mhm.
there's always a discrepancy in power of a relationship all the time, right? So when you can just be responsible for how, all you can be responsible for is how you're feeling at any
Yeah.
given moment, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're not, it's not our responsibility to be over there fixing them anyway, because
Mhm.
we don't know what their intention was behind what they did. But by just saying how it made you feel, that's just
Mhm.
truth.
Mhm.
Like, I feel this way. And then
Mhm.
it, I think it opens up for a collaborative conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It really does. And okay. So when we talk about grief, and we just end it with it opens it up for a collaborative conversation. Sometimes people don't get that closure. So how do we help them navigate that? And I'll share because that was once I got down to the bottom of like where all of my feelings were coming from. That was what mine was. My grief was that I never got closure in the fact that he never even apologized. And I was like, dang, it just would have been nice to get the apology. But even then, right? Like if I would have gotten the apology, what would that have changed? What would that have done? And like you said, what would have been his intent behind the apology? Would it just be to just appease me for, and just say I'm sorry? Was there true meaning behind it? And so as we talk about grief, what do people do who don't have the opportunity to have those closure opportunities?
Well, I don't know. For me, I don't know about you, but for me, I have to just give the closure to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Turn it
Yeah.
around, instead of like,
Yeah.
I wanted something from over there. Well,
Yeah.
girl, how about just, be faithful? Like, how about I'm just not in this conversation, right? Like, you can take it all the way back there. So how about you just be like, you know, I forgive myself. I'm happy with my life. I'm moving forward. I just turn it around. How
Yeah.
about even the compassion piece? Like, they did the best they could.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
nobody gets up in the morning and does the worst they can. I just don't believe
That's
that.
true.
I mean,
That's
that's
true.
called a sociopath. That's way out there on the tail end of that curve, right? The rest of
Right.
us,
We ain't calling him that yet.
the rest of us are doing the best we can right there in the middle of the curve. And
Yeah.
some days it doesn't land right with somebody else. But it's not like I got up in the morning and said, you know what? I'm gonna, do this, do that, destroy the world, make everybody in front of me feel bad, be the worst person I can.
Yeah.
Nobody does that.
Yeah. Yeah. I so I that was the blog that just came out this week, was about closure. And it's beautiful because like I said, writing is very healing, cathartic to me. And so I wrote it as a love letter to this guy, and it was my way of closure to him. Because we're long distance and he doesn't want to do a long distance relationship. And I was just like, okay, well, I can't continue like toying with this emotion, friendship, heart thing or whatever. And it was beautiful because I accepted his desire and his boundary of saying, nah, this ain't for me. but I also have to honor and respect my boundary of like, okay, well, I can't keep toying with whatever it is that we have going on, and it's never going to be anything more. And
Right.
so I wrote it, I wrote this blog, and it was just like my way of saying, that's my closure, right? And so I love that you say that. Sometimes we have to define and decide what closure looks like for us and then create that closure. So it wasn't how I wanted it to end, but it is how it is. And I had to find my closure within that.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you keep saying about your blog. I think you need to tell everybody, like, what are you blogging under? Where's that?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Girl, like,
um,
stop teasing us.
I know, right? I'm so sorry, y'all. So you could go to my website, lifeafterinfidelity.net. And there's a header on there that just says blogs. And so the blogs post every Monday at 7 a.m. And so a lot of times I try to accompany them with the podcast episode that's coming out. But yes, you guys definitely go out and check it. The latest blog, or the next blog that will be coming out on Monday, you don't want to miss it. It's about safety, security, and certainty. So it's
Nice.
gonna be good. Yes. So thank you for that. That's what I'm
Absolutely.
saying. You be my better half, reminding me of the stuff I need to do.
Yeah, just put it out there. Put it out there. Put it out there. Put it out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, so we've told the people, okay, it's up to you to decide what closure looks like. Like we have to stop giving the power and ownership of our lives to other people to decide what that looks like.
Right.
What are some other tools and techniques that either you've done or that you share and help people with when we were talking about this grief?
Ooh, grief is such an animal, right? I think the
Mhm.
biggest one is you got to just accept it.
Yep, that's
Like,
what I was thinking too. I was like, I had to sit with it like through that whole season, like just sit with it.
yeah, we as humans want to run from our emotions,
Hmm.
right? But like, let's just say I don't know, you tripped and fell down and your knee got bruised. You wouldn't like run to the gym or go do 5 miles. You would
Right.
actually sit with it and
Hmm.
adjust your physical behavior until it healed.
Yeah.
And we don't
Yeah.
do that with our emotions.
Hmm.
Right? Like just accept it.
Yeah.
I'm feeling grief today and
Hmm.
I'm going to do self-care and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make myself feel bad. But I don't know why humans think we're just supposed to feel perfect all the time and we're never supposed to feel
Yeah.
bad and we're supposed to be happy and like it's crazy.
Right. But why do you think we avoid that feeling, that grief feeling?
Well, I think people want to avoid stuff that feels bad.
Yeah.
Like it just
Yeah.
feels bad, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
And we don't get to control it. Right? Like you go into a restaurant and eat and then you get sick, you just don't go back, right?
Mhm.
Or you
Mhm.
do an exercise and it doesn't work for your body, you don't do it again.
Mhm.
Emotions are a whole thing, right? They occur in our head, you feel them in your body. You can't, I mean, you got to breathe through it and, come on. I
Yeah.
love me some Tyler Perry. This too shall pass, baby, right?
It's
Like,
through your
this
past.
too shall pass. Like, he get down on some preaching. I love that man.
He will. He will. He will. Absolutely. Tyler will definitely get down. Gosh, I just had this thought I wanted to ask you and I forgot it that fast. Because it was talking about grief. Look, I'm trying to talk my way through what it was that you had said, and it was gonna be so good too. This is life, y'all. Oh my
Save
gosh.
yourself, right? That was gonna be good, and now it's gone. And
Yeah,
yeah,
because
grief passes just
oh,
like too.
I got it. I got it. I got it.
Go.
Triggers. Triggers.
Oh yeah.
How do people handle like triggers? Because I think too that brings on a lot of onset of grief. Like right now we're in Valentine's. We had Christmas, which was the time that I was going through mine. Like all of these different holidays or different things. Like how do we even navigate the grief when it comes around triggers and stuff?
So when it first shows up, you don't know that thing's gonna trigger you. This is the advice I give. It's the advice I use on myself. Like the first time it triggers me, I just be with it, right?
Hmm.
But now I know, right? Christmas is a trigger. If Valentine's is a trigger, right? Like then you plan in advance.
Hmm.
So don't do the same thing you've always done because you're going to have grief and that missing, right? So
Yeah.
plan something new and different. So if
Hmm.
you used to do XYZ in your marriage or with your boyfriend or whatever the relationship is you're missing, don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
right? And on Valentine's, like yesterday I had 3 options to go do things. And I'm like, which one I want to do, right? And I ended up going to dinner with a girlfriend. We like 5 to 8 o'clock, like sat at the bar, had an amazing meal.
I
Lots of
love
people rolled
it.
in and out and we talked, right? But there was also other options. There was a huge meetup with 165 people. So like I got options in my world and then I'm in control and I have choice,
Yeah.
right? And hanging out feeling grief was not a choice anymore because I had built so many other choices in. So the first
Mm,
time you acknowledge it's happening and let it pass, but then you know, like, where's your list? My triggers, my holiday triggers. And then you plan around to do something different than you've ever done.
yeah.
That's
I
what I
think
do.
that's no, that's good because it's like plan. And again, everything I hear is like us taking back control and
Yes.
stop sulking and feeling like the victim and woe is me. But like you said, you have cultivated this life to where you had options, and I think that's the thing. A lot of us sit around and we're just like feeling sorry for ourselves, but we're not going out and creating options and creating the life that we want. I think life isn't passive. You have to
Right.
go out,
Well, and I don't that, I do a lot of consulting with executives and that voice, like, oh, I'm not good enough. My people don't like me, right? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do this project. I'm just going to be straight up. I just tell them to tell that voice to F the right off, right? We can do the same thing.
Yeah.
And they'll say, Didi, only you, right? Like, only you. And I'm like, who else would you let talk to you like that? So when we got all this stuff coming at us in our own brains, you would not let another human being talk like that to you. You're
Yeah.
not good enough. It's Valentine's. You don't have a date. That's because you're too strong. You're too beautiful. Whatever it is.
Mhm.
You do not let somebody else talk to you like that. So stop talking to yourself like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? I call that. I mean, you know, public enemy number one. Right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we all have it, and all religions even talk about it, that negativity in our brains, you had to just move on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for me, especially with really high functioning executives, they really get that. Like they wouldn't let their coworker come in their office and talk to them like that. Like,
Mhm.
right? So why are
Mhm.
you sitting at your desk like 10 thoughts like that all on repeat?
Mhm.
Stop that.
Mhm.
Just stop
Mhm.
that.
Now, them intrusive thoughts are a real thing. That's something I'm dealing with, and I have to, like you said, I have to nip it in the bud and be like, "Nah, okay, we can't do this, Brianna. Stop talking to yourself like that."
I started telling my teenager that when she was really young, and now she laughs about it. She's like, "Of course, but you're my mom, so I know what to tell that voice."
See, look, you've already trained her up right. She's good to go.
Tell it whatever. I wasn't telling the 6-year-old to tell it to go f off. I was telling her to say, go outside and play. Leave me alone. I'm not
Yeah,
listening to you. Right?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
not how I really feel.
yeah. No, yeah, I like that. That's really good. Like just being aware of that voice and what it's saying, and changing that narrative.
It's no more real. The negative thoughts are no more real than a positive thought. It's just
Hmm.
not. Like they're
Hmm.
all just made up. And if you can
Hmm.
really get that, they're made up, and we're making them up in the moment. Right?
I like that. That's good. That's real good. Okay, so what else? What else are we missing that we need to let the people know? Have we covered everything or what?
Yeah, this is a really good conversation about grief. So I think we covered, let it come and pass.
Hmm.
If there's a trigger around it, then next time, make a list and you know what your trigger is and make
Hmm.
new activities. So
Hmm.
that's not a trigger anymore.
Hmm. Hmm.
Do something different.
Yeah, and I would say too, like it's going to come, like we talked about in the beginning. It's not linear, so you could be like myself 5 years out of it, and then like it seeps back in. So don't beat yourself up whenever the emotion comes, but just allow it so that you can, because the thing is, the longer that you try to push it off, the longer you're gonna go through it. So the sooner that you're just like, okay, I'm finna embrace it today, I'm feeling grief, the quicker you can navigate through that thing and just be over with it.
Yeah. And the fact that you feel it means you're a thinking, feeling, deep individual. And
Mm-hmm.
I had this funny thought. Maybe grief is like menopause, right? It is not linear. Like it just be coming back, right? And like, what are you
I'm
gonna
not
do
ready for
about it?
that yet.
You're gonna go to your OB and be like, hey, I need something, right? It's back.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that so both green monsters, right? Both those green monsters are back, right? You're gonna do
Hmm.
something about it, but you can't control it.
Yeah.
But you can
Yeah.
navigate around it,
Yeah.
replace it. Maybe
Yeah.
that's really a good saying. Navigate around it and replace it.
I like that.
You
I
know,
like that.
navigate and replace, navigate and replace.
I like that.
That's a good one.
Navigate around it. That's good. Like, yeah, that's got to be our tag for this episode.
Yeah, it does.
Um,
Hashtag that, navigate and replace, right?
navigate and replace. Ooh, that's
Yeah, I love that
girl. It's
one.
like a whole coaching model. You better write that down. um.
I
Well,
do.
hey,
My clients are all like, give me the Didi-ism list, right? Where are my Didi-isms?
exactly. See, that's what we need. Okay, Didi isms list. There we
Yeah,
go.
for this, we can call them Ivory's list, right? We call them that.
Ivory's. Okay, Ivory's list. Okay, so Ivory's list today was say it again, Ivory.
Navigate and replace.
Navigate and replace. And I feel like that's the perfect way to close out the episode.
I think
Is
that's
that
lovely. It's awesome.
when
It's so good to be with you. And what I think we should rock this every week or every other week. Give the
yep.
people something, some Saturday love, see what's happening.
Yeah. Yes. So you guys, yeah, stay rocking with Ebony and Ivory for sure. We're going to be bringing you all types of different episodes, just really how to create and cultivate healthy relationships around you, and not necessarily just romantic relationships, but workplace relationships, friendships, like all of it. We're going to be talking about all the things. So do a couple of things. We don't even know what we're going to name the site, but we're going to put it in the show notes. And when we do, go to the show notes and just follow, like, subscribe, because we really want you guys to rock with us. And in the comments, just put in there like what you would like for us to touch on, what topics you would like for us to discuss, because you got a healthy balance right here, and we're definitely going to be bringing you some great content.
Yeah.
So
Awesome way to end. I love that. Like give us what you want to hear, right? Don't
mhm.
I mean we just come up with all sorts of crazy, her and I, right? So like
I know. Because we'll be like, oh, girl, I'm going through this right now. Oh, that's an episode. Let's talk about it.
and that's great. But I love when people comment and then the next week we can do what they want. I love that so much. Then
Yeah,
it's a we thing, right? It's
it's
not
a
just
we
an I
thing.
thing. It's like a whole we community. Like I love that. So
Exactly. So do us a favor, comment what you want to hear us talk about. We'll definitely get that topic covered for you. And I am Ebony signing out, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Ivory signing out. Have a great week, everyone. Talk to you soon.
All righty. Bye, everybody.
Bye.